Good day everyone, this is Teacher Alvin, your MAPE teacher. MAPE, Map Pinalanggaon na Guro. For today's video, we're gonna talk about musical instruments. Get your ballpen and your notebook and take down notes all the important details about the topics. Let's go!
Teacher Alvin TV. Please subscribe and share.
MAPE 6, Music, Quarter 3, Week 5, Day 1. Directions: study the musical score of Magtanim ay di biro. Identify and define the different repeat marks used in the song. And there is the repeat marks of the song. Do you like playing musical instruments? What musical instruments do you want to play? Do you want to play together with other musicians in an orchestra? If yes, our topic for today is all about musical instruments. Lesson objectives: at the end of the lesson, the learners are able to identify the different musical instruments, appreciate the beauty of sound of musical instruments, and play musical instrument. String instruments. String family is the biggest section of the orchestra. The violin, viola, cello, and double bass are the most common instruments in the string family. They are made of wood and usually curved into their characteristic curvy wooden body shape, which is attached to a wooden neck piece. They all have 4 strings that are attached to wooden tuning pegs on the headpiece located on the top of the neck. The strings are stretched over the body and neck of the instruments. Representing the violin. It is the smallest and has the highest pitch in the string family. It is the leader and the heart of the orchestra. Next, we have viola. It is a little larger in size and has slightly thicker strings than the violin strings. It produces a darker, thicker, and a lesser brilliant tone. Next one is cello. It has thicker strings than the violins and viola strings. It is played with a shorter and thicker bow. The instrument rests against the knees of the musicians who is seated while playing it. Next, we have double bass. It has the lowest pitch among the string instruments. Its strings, which are very long and thick, produce a deep, sonorous tone. And lastly, we have a harp. It has 47 strings which are plucked with fingers and not bowed. It has 7 pedals to change the pitch of the strings. It consists of triangular frame formed by a sound box, a pillar, and a curved neck. Then we have the woodwind instruments. Woodwind instruments in this family all used to be made of wood, which give them their names. Nowadays, they are made not only of wood but also of metal, plastic, or some combination. They are all tubes with an opening at one end and a mouthpiece at the other end. They each have rows of holes that are covered by metal caps called keys. They produce sound when the player blows air against a sharp edge or through a reed, causing the air within its resonator to vibrate. We have first the piccolo. It is like the soprano in the woodwind family. It is like a small flute and the sound is higher than the flute. Next, we have the flute. It is an aerophone or reedless instrument. It produces sound from the flow of air across an opening, creating rapid succession of tones. It is usually made of metal, although most flutes are made of woods. Next, we have the clarinet. It is a cylindrical instrument with a cup-shaped mouthpiece and a flaring bell at the other end. It is a single-reed woodwind instrument. Its tone can vary from a low to brilliant pitches. Next, we have the oboe. It is the most dramatic among the woodwind instruments and has a double reed mouthpiece. It has a block which is normally made of wood. Next, we have the bason. It is called the clown of the orchestra because of the unusual, often comic sounds it produces. It is the largest and the lowest sounding orchestral woodwind. And lastly, we will have a saxophone. It has a cone-shaped body of brass with the lower end bent into a U-shaped design and usually comes in several sizes. Brass instruments. The brass instruments are made of metal. They are important in producing the loud, exciting parts of the orchestra. The instruments are also blown to create sounds by buzzing the player's lip against the mouthpiece. The brass instruments are lip-vibrated instruments. They produce sound from the vibration created by the musicians pressing their lips up against the mouthpiece while blowing. The vibration between the lips and the mouthpiece causes the air to vibrate down the long brass tube. Of course, we have the trumpet. It is the smallest main instrument of the brass family that produces the highest and brilliant sound. It is leader and soprano of the brass family. Next, we have the tuba. It is the bass member of the brass family. It is the largest among the brass family with a mouthpiece and a big bell-shaped opening to the tube that is wrapped around in an oval. Next, we have the French horn. It is the alto member of the brass family. It is 12 feet long and sounds mellow than the trumpet. It has a valve that is bent into a circle called rotary valve. And lastly, we have a trombone. It is the tenor member of the brass family. It is the only sliding instrument in the brass that uses a slide rather than keys, valve, or strings. Percussion instruments. Percussion instruments refer to musical instruments that produce sound by striking them with sticks or hammers, while others are through rubbing or shaking them against another similar instrument. The materials used to make percussions include metal, wood, or plastic, and they come in different sizes and shapes. They are used in accenting the rhythm and heightening the climax in the orchestra. Percussion instruments are divided into two classes: pitch and unpitched. Pitch percussion instruments produce notes with an identifiable or definite pitch. Here is the example of pitch percussion. Number 1 is the timpani. It is the loudest of all the orchestra instruments and requires tremendous precision of the timpanist. It can be played as both a rhythmic and melodic instrument. Next, we have the xylophone. It consists of wooden bars stuck by plastic, wooden or rubber mallets. Each bar is tuned to a specific pitch of the musical scale. It produces wooden, bright rattling, shrill, hollow tinkling, and clear sounds. Next, we have the glockenspiel. It is arranged like the xylophone but with a steel bell instead of wood. It is smaller in size than xylophone and creates musical sounds that are higher in pitch. Unpitched percussion produces notes with an identifiable or indefinite pitch. Number 1 example is snare drum. It is played with a drumstick. It is used for roles in classical settings or for adding accent to music. Next, bass drum. It is a large drum that produces a note of low definite or indefinite pitch. It is used to keep a pulse in music. Next, we have the cymbals. They are used in pairs and consist of thin, normally round plates of various alloys. They produce sharp, clashing, or crashing sound. Next, we have the last but not the least, triangle. It has a triangular shape. It is played by striking with a stick. Children, let's try to answer this activity. Directions: identify the instruments of the Western orchestra. Let's do this. Directions: write true if the sentence is correct and false if it is wrong. Glockenspiel is smaller than xylophone and with a steel bell instead of wood. Unpitched percussion instruments produce notes with an identifiable or indefinite pitch. The only instrument in the brasswind family that uses a slide rather than keys, valve, or strings is called tuba. Oboe is the most dramatic among the woodwind instruments and has a double reed mouthpiece. Double bass is the smallest and has the highest pitch in the string family. Thank you very much for watching my video. Hope that my video give you a lot of information about the topics, most especially in music. And adios amigos!